What's going on, world? Welcome back for another episode of Drop the Jack. Today we have a special guest with us, Jesi Stracham. She's a trailblazing entrepreneur, an author, and also one of my good friends. On today's episode, we talk about having a positive mindset, her life-changing injury, and you know we get vulnerable during our gloves off segment.
I pick things up.
I
put them down.
Guys love America. What do you mean?
And that's why you wear the glasses. Jack on that.
I instantly got chills, and shout out to Tupac.
I just miss texting and walking.
She didn't lose her sense of humor, I'll tell you that.
We know we can't change the world unless we change ourselves.
Dropping gems, sports, culture, entertainment from a broader lens. This where it all begins, and we'll be talking that on or off the track. The whole crew ready, it's time to drop the jack.
This summer, Jesi had the opportunity to work with Team USA at the 2024 Paralympic Games. Fresh off the plane, we started the conversation there, and we had the opportunity to ask her about her experience in Paris.
That's fitting since where she just came from.
And that's a big deal. When we were thinking about this whole podcast thing, you were like one of the first people that came to mind, and when I was like, I have to get Jesi on here. I have to get her telling her story, talking about herself, talking about the energy that you bring in every room. And yeah, I'm so glad that it's finally happening. So
Yeah, I'm so glad we could finally make this after what, like 8 months, make it come to life.
And to hit on that, I seen the energy. First second I saw it, I was like, okay, she's ready. She's ready.
She fits in well with us.
Yes.
Been ready.
So speaking of the First Lady, you just came from Paris. Can you tell us a little about your, experience out there and what you were out there for?
That was insane. So I got a call in July from Team USA, and they're like, hey, we're creating this content creator program. It's our first time doing it. We don't really know what we're doing, but we'd love to fly you to the Paralympics to create content around the games. And I was like, me?
Wow.
Go represent the U.S.? I love America. What do you mean? And so they booked my ticket to Paris, gave me, like the week before, I got my wardrobe as far as what I need to wear and what my schedule was. And I hopped on a plane and landed, and then it was a week of just creating content around the Paralympic Games and all these incredible athletes. And it was really cool because I'm an entrepreneur first, and I got to interview the athletes after they won their medals. And the one thing was like consistency, visualization, and it's all the things that we talk about in what we do growing businesses. And so it was cool to see that synergy there.
Was this, what were the events? There's so many events.
Oh
A lot of them that no one knows, but specifically, what were the ones that were kind of your favorite that stood out? I know you do volleyball, right?
I did, so we got to participate in seated volleyball. The Team USA women taught us how to play. That was intense. It's so fast, so intense. Powerlifting, because that's what I'm looking to switch to and transition to. I've been a CrossFit athlete for about 5 years. And I'm ready to move on to something where I just get to pick heavy things up and put it down. You know what I mean?
Love the absolutely love that.
But if anyone loves that, it's Paul.
I'm a big meathead. Love working out, so I love the picking up heavy stuff and
I
putting it
pick
down.
things up.
Yep.
I put them
That's
down.
Put them down many times.
Makes me so happy.
Yes, Jesi, I love that energy.
I think that's going to be my sport of choice, but definitely like wheelchair basketball, wheelchair rugby, both the most intense sports I've ever seen. They're flipping each other in their chairs, and then they just roll over, pop back up, and just call it a day.
Wheelchair rugby,
wow.
that's crazy.
It was,
I've never seen that.
it's
So yeah,
intense.
explain, go a little
So they
further
had
on
these
that.
like built chairs. Imagine like tank chairs almost. They
Made
were
for
like
crashing.
built and made to crash into each other, and they just flip each other, and they're like trying to get into the goals. It was intense.
Wow.
So Team USA won silver in rugby, and men's wheelchair basketball we won gold, and then women's wheelchair basketball we won silver.
Awesome.
I saw some videos of them shooting on your Instagram.
Yeah.
Basketball.
Yeah,
That
it was
impressive.
so sick. I'm
Yeah.
like, because you got to think it's the same height regulation
Right.
as able-bodied basketball,
Yep.
but they're seated. And so they're
Wow.
losing, like a foot, almost 2
Yeah.
feet, and they're still making it.
Right. Plus the note. I mean, everyone else is like jumping and
Right.
getting close.
Yeah.
We're just there.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's insane.
Speaking of able-bodied basketball, Jesi, because you're a friend of mine, I respectfully would like to know this. Like, what is that term of community as far as someone that is paralyzed? What is the best, like, I know you don't like labels, I don't either, but
I guess
is
it just
there
depends who you ask, right?
Okay.
Like, I personally don't call me handicapped. I don't have anything. To me, that's something wrong with my mind. My mind. I mean.
She's a little crazy.
Okay. Call me out.
I didn't say nothing. I was just here. I'm just here.
But I mean, I'm a wheelchair user, disabled. I have a spinal cord injury. So, I mean, honestly, I'm Jesi. Call me Jesi. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much more to me than just my wheelchair. And for years, I defined myself solely by my wheelchair and my disability. And I've finally broken through that. And so I'm trying to get society to see I'm Jesi first. I just happen to use a wheelchair.
Absolutely.
You do a lot. You do a lot with that community. And I think about when I moved down before I moved down, but I was competing for the Diversity Combine and everything. That was the first time I was around kids that looked like me or around the same age and trying to be a race car driver. So, and that feels really good when you're around that community. Do you get that all the time still? Like when you get a group of everyone from the community together, does it feel special?
It does. It does. And so we have a summer camp. My nonprofit, we host a summer camp every year.
What's it called?
The Wheel Together Retreat. We co-host it up in Carrabassett Valley, Maine.
Nice.
And it's so empowering and impactful for the attendees. I have to remain mindful not to fall into the mindset that they have. Because so often our communities carry this victim mindset of the world's out to get them. They've been wronged because over 50% of the country isn't accessible. We don't have equal access as wheelchair users. You go to New York City, most of the businesses have stairs. You try to ride the subway, a lot of time you get to where you want to go and the elevator's broken, but it's not updated in the system. And so now you have all these barriers to actual access, and it's very easy to allow that to control how you view yourself and your self-worth. And so when you're in that community and that's all you're talking about is, oh, I just peed myself, or I just couldn't get into this business and this person wronged me, you start to get consumed by that again. And you work so hard to get out of that. So I'm very mindful about keeping my barriers up and protecting myself and my energy when in those spaces.
As you guys can see, Jesi's a strong individual. She doesn't want anyone's sympathy. She wants to work for everything in life. I had the opportunity to ask her, how does she protect her mindset and what is her approach to that?
It was really hard. It's really hard to do it because it's like, it's so easy to become consumed by other people's energy. And it makes you more mindful about the energy that you put out, right? But honestly, when I bought a wellness facility earlier this year, it's my first business removing me from the disabled community. And so one of our business partners there, Tony, he always says, remove those labels. You're not that label. You're so much more than that. And it was the shift in my mindset because although I was trying to separate myself from the disabled community and being a victim or being less than, because that's, society views us that way. And that kind of is what it is. The first thing that people say when I'm like, oh, I was in an accident that paralyzed me. I'm so sorry. Like, what are you sorry for? My life is so sick. I have a fuller life now. I'm a better person now. And I get to do that at the wellness facility, which is where I met y'all.
Yep. Me and you met about 8 months ago at the Longevity, Freedom and Wellness up in Mooresville. And the reason I started going there, I saw something on LeBron. He said he took care of his body. He spent $1 million on his body. And I was like, so no, it ain't $1 million. It's nowhere near $1 million. But I was like, man, let me try to be well-rounded. Like, let me go start working on my body. I'm getting older. How do I take care of my body? And when I walked into Freedom, you were like one of the first people that I met. You know, I knew Tony, I knew Ben. And you were there, and you were just smiling, full of energy, acted like you knew me for like 1 million years, and we just met, you know what I mean? So I knew you were just a special person. You were shining the light, and it was cool that we met that way. We've been talking ever since, and it's just been a vibe, you know what I mean? So I'm glad you're here, man.
It's been the highest vibes.
You talk about 8 months. Me and Jesi have been talking for like, what, a year?
Yeah, a year and a half.
A year and a half, yeah, like just over, over socials, and like we have a mutual friend in Amber Balkan. Shout out to Amber. But one of the main reasons why I really like Jesi's energy and everything. Talk about that light is I love the motivational stuff. Like we were just talking about a second ago, how she was just talking to Hicks about something. The way that she was presenting it made you want to go off and do it, and being positive and that, and keeping that mindset, because that's kind of what my brand is about. Great day to be alive and keeping that. And Juice, I know for you, health is big, and health also means your mental. So, how do you go about doing that?
So a lot of things that Jesi talks about is things that I tell myself. So about, you control your own energy. You can't let the things around you dictate that, because then it'll be always ups and downs, and you'll be up and down. So I try to have the same energy and control my energy every day I wake up. I say, affirmation to myself all the time. So when I saw that her Instagram was full of things that were motivating me and inspiring me, I was like, I have to get to know her more. I have to, create some type of connection, because I feel like she's speaking to me as well, even though I'm not in the same position she's in. So I would just also want to ask you, how do you keep that going every day, like your positive energy? Like, just like Rail said, when I walked into Freedom, I saw your smile and saw your energy, and I'm like, she's always in a good mood, and I just love that. And I think I'm in a good mood most of the time too, but I still feel like there's things that bring me down that I have to snap out of it. But every time I come across you, you seem like you're in a great mood, and I just want to know, like, how do you keep that going day after day?
I genuinely am good most of the day. I'll have moments and blips where it's like, okay, this really sucks right now. And it's having that separation of not allowing that suck to consume you. And just being very mindful and intentional. I'm very intentional with the way that I communicate. I don't want to drain your energy. Your energy, because it's like, think about how often you have people trauma dumping on you or just sharing. It's just constant negative, because human nature, the first thing you want to do is focus on the negative. And I definitely could. Like, I'm not only paralyzed, I don't have bowel and bladder control, and that's harder than not walking. And but in my mind, I have use of my hands. What do I not have to be happy about? I'm super blessed. My life is so full. And when I focus on how full my life is and how much I genuinely have, all this over here that's trying to pull me down, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't touch it. And it's just being intentional about focusing on those things.
As you guys can see, Jesi is still human at the end of the day, but she do pride herself on not spilling any negative energy or draining anyone's energy, and she continues to be the light in each and every room, each and every chance that she gets. I had the opportunity to ask Jesi about her book that's coming out soon, and how the life before her accident, but how she may have made some mistakes along the way to get her to her life that she has today.
So I just finished my book. It should be out earlier next year. It's called Power in the Role. And I dove deep into younger Jesi. So I grew up racing four-wheelers. I raced off-road in a series called GNCC. Spoiled rotten, got everything I wanted, took it all for granted. When I hit puberty, I just started giving my body away freely, and then I started drinking and smoking as a teenager. I got pregnant at 15, had an abortion, graduated high school early, went right into the workforce, started snorting pills with my coworkers, and then drinking every day and drinking and driving, and then continuing to use people and giving my body away, which landed me on the back of a motorcycle with somebody I had no business being on a bike with. And then that landed me into getting paralyzed. And I feel I was an atheist most of my youth, and up until the day before I got paralyzed, and I was saved, and I found God, and that.
I want to clap for you.
That's a drop the jack.
For sure.
Absolutely.
That changed, and it didn't change my life right away. It wasn't until come June 2020, during the pandemic, my cousin committed suicide, and I felt jealous that her life was over and she was no longer in pain. And I asked God, I said, I should not be feeling jealousy that someone's life's over. I need you. I need you to guide me, show me what it is. And it was like God literally said, bet, I've been waiting for you to do this. And he just started showing out in my life. And then I realized I've been the problem the whole time. I haven't been communicating the right energy out to God, and as far as what I needed. And that's what landed me in all these situations all through my childhood. I kept making choices, trying to run my own life and not allowing my purpose to come through. And so then I got this purpose. And so now I just feel so fortunate. I get to live life this way. I've met people all over the country. I got to go to Paris on an all expenses paid trip as a partnership with Team USA. I wouldn't have got to do these things if I didn't get to experience life this way. And so I look at it as things don't happen to me, they happen for me. And every single obstacle that I experience is my opportunity, regardless of if it's good or bad. I stopped labeling things as good or bad, and it's all opportunity.
Love that. What would you say, you talk about purpose, and that kind of got me thinking, what would you say your purpose is now? Have you found that purpose?
Yes, to be the change that I want to see in the world. Change starts with us. If we want the world to change, if we want people to change the way they treat us, the way they look at us, the way that we show up, it starts genuinely with us. We can control ourselves. And when you focus on that, it has a ripple effect. You start affecting your loved ones, your family members. They start affecting their friend group, right? And think about, that's how we genuinely create change. We start living the authentic life that we want to see everyone else living.
That's shout out.
Preaching over here.
I instantly got chills, and shout out
sure.
to Tupac, right? You know, we can't change the world unless we change ourselves. So I can definitely relate to that, man. And I've had some experiences like that too, you know, where I had everything figured out. It was me. Like, how can I do this to be successful? How can I do that? I thought I was in full control at one point in time when actually I have little control. You know, obviously I'm the creator. I can control my mindset and feelings and stuff like that, but I definitely at some point had to hand the wheel over to God, you know.
No, that's like, I'm glad you brought up those topics because, like, I mean, my faith is huge to me. I know a lot of people I'm close with, their faith really big to them, and to hear that you were an atheist and that all this stuff was in your life was one way at one point, and then this stuff happens and you find faith and you find God and everything. It's just so inspirational, and you could have such a grudge at life and the hand you've been dealt and everything, and it's so amazing to see how you just, your energy and the light that's around you. Like, I've never met you until today, and right when you walked in or rolled into this room, I mean, you were just absolutely phenomenal. Your energy, your personality. It's really cool to hear your story and just hear your life and how it's changed and how you're just flourishing. It's really awesome.
You're a badass.
Yeah,
I mean,
you really are.
it sums it up, right?
You
I mean,
100% are.
Michael Hicks asked a great question, and Jesi explained it very well. Mental toughness isn't something that just happens overnight. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And as you guys know, on every show, we like to get vulnerable a little bit and go into our gloves off segment. So next, we asked Jesi, what did she think her superpower was?
So I got two things. Your mental toughness. Is that something you always had?
Oh no.
Was that something you just learned? And because I'm a big mental toughness person, and obviously you have the most out of probably anybody I've ever met. So
I think that it's understanding that it's a journey and it's not a destination.
yeah.
I've been on my personal development journey for 7 years. It wasn't something that it was like, okay, I'm changing these things and it happens overnight, and not enough people stay consistent in that journey, right? Yeah. They're like, oh, you know, it didn't work out. That doesn't work for me, and they quit it. And I genuinely stuck with it, and it wasn't easy. I haven't been consistent 100% of the time. I have ebbs and flows, and I think accepting that that's part of life helped. But I've done 15 Tough Mudders, including World's Toughest Mudder, which is their 24-hour event 4 times. I've done more overnight events than I have daytime. Wow. I believe that played a massive part in it, because I'll never forget my first World's Toughest Mudder. I got cold in the middle of the night, and I quit.
Really?
And I've never been so disappointed in myself in my life.
So you just been firing them off?
Yo, it was like, I was like, I'm never feeling this way again.
Yeah.
And I came back the next year and I didn't. And that's when I started taking cold showers, which then again led me to freedom with the cold plunges, because I was like, I love that. I believe cold plunge is a great way to develop your mental toughness, to develop that grit and development on that front.
Become comfortable being uncomfortable.
I can
Right.
attest to that for sure.
What's all a part of those Tough Mudders? Can you tell us, like, what?
So I had a team of people that pulled my chair through. I would wear a wetsuit because I get cold really easy. So you have different obstacles. There was one that was a big A-frame. It was 3-4 story A-frame. And we would belay up it, and I would climb and just be on belay, because I am recovering from my spinal cord injury. So I have some hip function. My right leg functions about 70% now. And I've regained hot and cold. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I'm regaining so much that it's like I didn't want to. And even then, when it was early and I hadn't gained so much, I was like, I don't want to break my legs. That's like my biggest fear.
Yeah.
And so we belayed on all the obstacles. I did everything, including the ice tub. So I climbed up over everything. There was one, it was a tube with water running down on your face, and you had to climb up like a drainage tube. Another one was fencing. You have to.
You got me like talked into it.
You have to. It's amazing. There was another one, which was my favorite. It was called cage crawl. So it was literally a fence over a pond of water. There you had about this much space between the water and the fence, and you had to pull yourself under it. And then there was blackouts in it. It was sick.
How many miles is a Tough Mudder?
Depending on which one you do. So the 24-hour one is laps of 5 miles. If you do a full, it's usually 10 to 13 miles. The toughest was laps of a 5 to 8 mile loop. And then like a half would be your only 5, or your like
Let's
3.
do it.
Hey, we
Let's do it.
No way, you've got to do a full. Don't
Hey.
don't
I'm trying to
half
get.
it.
I'm trying to get these guys.
I don't
convinced.
get
I'm trying to
Darrell
get them there.
Hey, y'all don't pull me into this. You brought it.
I'm telling you, it will change your life. It was that, and then just sticking with the personal development program. I mean, I did 75 Hard, which is a mental grit program.
Yeah,
I've done
I've heard
that
that.
3 times, and that helped further develop that. But I just got tired of me. I got tired of who I was, my excuses, and where I'd been, and I was like, I've got to start doing things that's going to make me uncomfortable so I can get out of this.
Now I looked at your Instagram and I saw you posted the other day, I think it was like 5 or 6 days ago, you posted a video and there was some clips of you back before you were in a wheelchair, and you said, some days do get tough, and you do think of those past days and what it would be like, and can you just kind of touch on that a little bit? And
It's more, I just miss texting and walking.
She didn't lose her sense of humor, I'll tell you that.
Totally got that.
But really, it's the convenience factor. And I spend about 2 to 3 hours a day being disabled, from transferring, getting dressed, going to the bathroom, getting up and down stairs, cooking. Everything just naturally takes me a little longer, and I schedule that into my day. But I wish I didn't have to pack catheters, or that I didn't have to spend that extra time, that I got those extra hours. And now it's more because I'm so motivated to go and change this damn world.
Oh, yeah.
And that I'm like,
Yeah.
that's what it is. I'm like, I miss having that time so I can do more to make my impact bigger.
Yeah.
It's not, I just don't want to be disabled.
Right.
So I mean, we've talked about all these amazing things. What is your most favorite thing to do? I mean, like, what is, out of everything, you have this amazing life with all this stuff you do. What's your most favorite thing?
My community coaching program. I love impacting people, and then hanging out with kids. I can't wait for the day that I get to be a mom. I think that's one thing I'm like most looking forward to in life.
Yeah.
And hanging out with kids and getting to impact tiny humans is probably.
That's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
great.
You seem absolutely perfect to be around little kids like this. It's awesome.
The mom, being a mom. Okay, so, as you know, because everybody, me and Jordan both don't have kids, but
Yeah, we're
most of the group does.
as we might know.
But what would be, as your child becomes, I don't know, of age to be able to start understanding concepts and stuff, what is, the underlying message that you want to relay to your kid, over and over?
That nobody's going to tell you what you can or can't do in this world.
Yes.
Only you dictate your reality. You dictate what you can or can't
love
do by the
that.
amount of work that you're going to put in. I give my life to God, but I also know that if I don't put in the work, God's not going to show up for me.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he going to show up for somebody that's not willing to show up for themselves?
I need to drag my kids in here so they can hear that.
I wish I had more jacks to drop on. You are dropping absolute knowledge. I love it.
Yes. That's
It's
amazing.
just life experience, man. I've done a lot of work on myself, and I think that's the most important thing we can do as humans is become our very best version of self. Like, you've got to learn. For so long, I hated who I was. For so long, I couldn't look in the mirror. And now, I'm my favorite person in the whole world. And it's not a narcissistic way. Like, I just genuinely, I love spending time with me. I love how funny I am.
And you're
Like,
changing-
I'm just
changing the
genuinely,
world.
and I'm
No,
like,
that's-
I love my heart and my soul, because I know now it's not about me. It's about what I can do with this vessel I've been given.
Clearly, all of the guys are inspired by Jesi's story, her life before the accident, as well as her life after the accident, and how she continues to beat all of the odds. Clearly, mental toughness isn't something that comes easy, but we asked Jesi how she uses mental toughness throughout her life today.
Here on Drop the Jack, we do Gloves Off segment, and it's kind of a time where we get a little bit more vulnerable as men and women. But obviously, you have already you've been pretty deep. But I would like to know what you think your superpower is.
So I often say this of, I believe our superpower, a lot of people look at our struggle as something negative, and I've turned my struggle into my superpower. If I didn't get paralyzed, I would have never recognized what I'm capable of. I would have never got to impact lives. I would have never started a philanthropy. Like, I would not be who I am today. There's a good chance I won't even be alive. I was living such a reckless lifestyle. This saved me. What some people look at as something to destroy me, and what I looked at as something that destroyed me in the beginning, actually saved me and turned into the best superpower I could have. It tells me, my body tells me when it doesn't like something I'm consuming, physically and mentally, and it's at such a higher level. I have all this opportunity, all because of something meant to break me.
I personally think you're unbelievable.
Yeah,
That's strong.
absolutely.
That's strong.
What's your
What's my superpower?
what's your superpower? I've been waiting for this.
I think not too different. Like I think my superpower is I just am too stupid to give up, man. I just will not. I will not quit. Like even getting to this point in my career, there's been plenty of times where I should have, or people told me I should have, and it's gone down, and I'm like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this, and then it just always does. Like God has given me this ability to not worry about how bad it is, just worry about the next day. Just trying to get to the next day. So when stuff starts getting a little gray, I get excited because the sun shines so much brighter on that
it's
next day.
mama time, baby.
Bro, when it's bad, woo, I love it because I'm about to come through and get some good stuff out of it. What about you, Hicks?
I would say my superpower would be I'm able to when something bad happens, just act like it never even happened.
He does do that
Just
good.
keep on moving. Like something bad happens in my life, I'm able to just be like, you know what, shit happens, and I just keep on moving. You know what I mean? So it helps me with my career. It helps me with certain stuff. So obviously, sometimes it can bite you, because if you don't show emotion, sometimes people don't like that, and they kind of get pissed off at you.
Are you speaking females?
Got him.
Sometimes, yeah.
I would say it's consistency. If you were gonna wrap it in one word, you are very consistent as a human being.
I don't have a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
So, but it's like I said, some people hate you for it, some people love you
We're
for
peeling
it.
back the onion on you, though.
Yeah.
We're gonna get him to cry before we
Yeah.
I got a feeling I know what Paul says. It's probably like
What do you think?
professional partier. Like
I
you
mean,
can
hey,
just-
that's
you
up
can
there.
just-
I got a massive brain that could be a superpower. It's got a lot of knowledge up there.
5 head.
But no, for me, I think it's cultivating relationships and like bringing people together.
Yeah.
Like ever since I've been growing up, I've always loved making a lot of friends and having a lot of people around me, and a lot of I've lived in a few different places in my life, with growing up in Wisconsin, then playing football in Ohio, and then living in North Carolina for the past 10 years, and I've met all these different people along the way, and I love bringing all those people together. And I have group messages and all different things of all these different people that I've met who have now all become friends with all my good friends from other places, and just cultivating that good energy and a good time, and to just keep that going. And when we're all together, we're having a great time. People can look to me and be like, man, if we're around him, we know it's going to be fun. We know it's going to be lighthearted. We can, be around him and just be ourselves and have a good time. And I take pride in that for sure.
Jordan, what about you?
I've been thinking about mine for a while because I really didn't know what I thought it was. But I think recently I realized my ability to create. So I think that's my superpower, and I think that's the superpower we all have, that maybe we don't have the perspective to see it at the time, but just the ability to create what you want. Because everything we see around us, this glass, even this show, it started in our minds. Mm-hmm. And then now it's physical, it's in our reality. So my ability to create, I'm learning that more and more. Like, I can really do what I put my mind to. I can be intentional with what I want and actually make it happen. And I've been doing that my whole life and didn't even know it, that I was actually creating it as I was going. Like, I want to do this. I did it.
So how'd you find it?
How did I find?
Yeah, how did you realize it? If you've been doing it your whole life.
I think it was just my perspective changed when I started learning more about myself and learning like the powers that we all have just as being humans, that we create what we want. Everything in this room is a creation that started in somebody's mind and then it became physical. So I'm like, okay, if that's everything we exist in, then we all have that. Every car, every material thing is created first in somebody's mind, and then it's boom, physical.
Jordan, that's a tough one to follow up, if I'm being honest. And just like you, I feel like as I was thinking about it, that I had a couple of them. I just don't know which one I wanted to use on the show. But I think
I've got one too.
I think y'all look crazy. I think my superpower is the one I want to say is I think my superpower is simply where I come from, and that's Baltimore. Like the culture I was brought up in. I experienced a lot at an early age, a lot of trauma. I had to grow up fast. Baltimore has taught me how to survive. Like, I had to be a man as a kid. You know what I mean? My dad was incarcerated. My mom was incarcerated. They were incarcerated at the same time at one point in my life. A lot of friends passed away. So just simply growing up in my environment and being from where I'm from, Baltimore, that I feel like that's my superpower because I just feel like a bad man being someone that made it out of that environment. You know what I mean? Like,
why do you
sure.
feel like you're a bad man for getting like?
well, I'll give you a stat. I got 4 brothers. 3 out of 5 of us have been shot. You know, as statistics, like that's tough. That's something to think about. Like that's crazy, but that's something that I made it through and made it out of.
Yeah.
Finding basketball, having it as an scapegoat, and I just think Baltimore is simply my superpower, just being where I'm from, because it's one of the toughest cities to grow up in America.
I mean, you should be proud that you got out and that you are doing what you're doing because you have come a long way from where you were and seeing the growth even from when I met you, like, and from you told me a lot about your past and everything. It's flowers to you, man, for where you're at in life and what you've created with your life and what you do for your loved ones.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you.
it's a testament to you and your character for
Thank
sure.
you, man. And I just want to go back on that manifesting of like Jordan talked about. This podcast started with an idea, like Jesi talked about earlier. It started with a thought, and now that it's came to fruition, like it's just super cool, man. And I'm so exceptional, and I'm so glad you guys were able to get vulnerable, tell a little bit about your stories. I'm learning you guys each and every episode. And I thought I knew y'all, but y'all are humans, man, and I'm learning so much more, and I'm super grateful for that, man. So I kind of just want to cheers on that, man. Thank you guys for sharing, seriously. And Jesi,
We are grateful for
from
Yo,
Drop the
grateful
Jack,
for y'all.
thank you for being our first guest. You were awesome. You brought so much insight to everything, and we'll have you back. We'll love to have you back in the future for sure.
Queen of Drop the Jack.
The Queen of Drop the Jack. So
All right,
that's all.
appreciate y'all.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. Cheers.